Level Up Latina partners with working women and mamas alike to guide them in achieving fulfilling career and life goals through financial empowerment, professional or leadership coaching, and personal wellness. Find the unique coaching you need to succeed.
You're listening to Vero, Ceci, and Irene, and we are Level Up Latina.
Welcome back to another episode of the Level Up Latina podcast. Today we're going to be talking about embracing change, and rather a time in your life where you have felt you've been changed or transformed. The episode before this, we talked about stress and embracing stress. So a lot of these episodes are about reflection and reflecting in on your life, regardless of whether it's about your personal life, your career, your relationship. So hopefully you get something inspiring from this one as we talk about embracing change in marriage and life and careers and friendships and so forth. But before then, how are we doing? We can start with La Ceci. ¿Cómo estás, Ceci?
Bien, también aquí con frillito, como dijiste tú en el otro episodio. Yeah, it was getting, like, the weather was getting a little better, and then, like, the last 2 days frío. Like, I was already sleeping, like, in shorts and, like, a t-shirt, and, like, the past 2 nights, I want to say, I was, like, wearing my flannel PJ pants and, like, long sleeve, porque frillito. Pero bien, aquí andamos, terminando la semana bien.
Yeah, the same thing here in SoCal. It's like been hotter, which is nice. Like certain days you go out and it's like, oh wow, it's going to get summery again. And then the next day it'll be like rain or chilly. Last night, I think like en la madrugada, estaba lloviendo bien fuerte. So it's like, wow, okay, we can't decide if we're hot or cold. Yeah. I've been hecka cold today. I turn the heater on, but then Diego forgets and opens the doors and opens windows. And I'm like, oh, the heaters, all the hot air is escaping us. So I don't know. I think he may have turned it off because he opens the door for the doggies. But I'm cold as well. What about you, Vero? ¿Qué andas haciendo?
Está frillito. We're in Escondido. So it's still like raining. The rain came down hard. But it's nice. I like it. I like the in-between where you get some sunshine and some sun, and then you get back to the whole like rain. Porque el agua es vida. El agua es vida. So, como dicen mis hijos, salen las florecitas and it's good for the plantitas. So I'm like, and it's good for us. Yes, clean air. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I feel good con frillito, pero it's nice.
It is nice. My brother's always kind of monitoring the rain for us because he's like, turn off your sprinklers. You don't want to over soak. And then he'll call, oh, it's going to get hot this weekend. Make sure you guys water those plants. Like, he's such a green thumb. And, oh, my doggies, of course, right when I'm talking. Somebody's at the door. Evan, let me see. You guys can join me in this adventure. Let's click to see who's at my door on my cell phone.
¿Quién será? What did he order?
The mail lady. Pobrecita. Siempre me la maltratan. The mail lady's just trying to do her own thing and drop off the mail. Anyway, my brother's the green thumb, and he's always on top of it and telling us how to take care of the florecitas, como dicen los niños de Vero. So today we're going to talk about embracing change. But before we get into that, the question is, how are you ladies with change? Are you one of those people that love it? No big deal. Or are you one of those people that is like, oh, I'm not a fan of change? Like, new boss, new neighborhood, new friends, new life. I graduated college, got to do something new. Or are you like, yes, transition, new job, new life, new man?
I think it depends. Like some things, like
I'm totally with it.
She's delayed.
Shit. So I could hear Irene. She's like, new man. And then I was delayed. I was like, maybe if I cut in, it'll stop that. But anyway, go, Ceci, you go.
Okay. Yeah, like I was saying, I think it depends. I think it depends on whatever the change is. This current job that now I've been in 3 years, I remember when I started, I was so excited, and it was a huge change because it was like 4 different areas of law that I had not practiced. So it was huge. So, but I didn't feel overwhelmed. I think I was just excited to go back to doing legal work. So I totally embraced it. Cool, whatnot. The big change, and of course, this is a big topic that's been part of my life for the past 2.5 years. Was the change when, like, my parents needed a lot of help in caregivers and all that, and that was like a huge change for all of us. And to take, I don't know, I think to really. Ay, cómo ni lo puedo explicar. It was really hard. It was really hard. It's still hard. I learned to live and roll with the punches, I guess you could say. Luis has said that I grew up in with a lot, I guess, chaos, drama, but not like in a bad, well, I guess not in a bad way, but I think because I was the oldest, one, I had to translate for my parents for everything. Two, when I was 11, that my dad suffered an accident, like I was pulled into that. So there was and then there was always people like coming into our house, and then my parents' house was always like the first house where like if a family member had like some drama, algo pasó, todos se reunían en la casa de mi mamá. So I always saw that as normal, I always saw that as normal. So Luis didn't see that. So with the last 2 years where there was like a lot of urgency, I was like, okay, well, this needs to be done, or we have to work around it this way. That was a huge change for our family. And yes, it was hard. And yes, I was stressing and very, very little patient, but it wasn't as traumatic, I would say, porque, as I guess Luis puts it, like I was always accustomed to that, like that sense of urgency, de que pasó esto, tenemos que hacer esto. But in my mind and in mi persona, I did feel like I needed something. I needed an outlet. I needed help. And like, that's when I started therapy. So I think that helped me embrace and live with the change, the new life, the new normal for us. Y también que pasó todo esto where like COVID was really at its height, So yeah, fuck, it's crazy. And I'm like thinking about it. Fuck, todo esto pasó durante esos 2 años. But anyway, I don't know if that answered. I kind of went all over because my life has been all over the place. But I think it depends on the situation. And I think I've just learned to roll with the punches, whether it's like positive change or negative change.
If we were to talk about change, have I gone through a lot of it? I mean, just the recent change in my last 6 years of my life, yes, significant. But even before then, I was always very open to change and open to opportunity, which sometimes brings change. So then I've always just not been afraid of it. I've never been afraid of it. It's been, it could sometimes be a little like uncomfortable, but change is the only thing that's constant. You know what I mean? Like whether you're changing into good, like Ceci just said, there's always, the world is moving. There's so many different pieces in this world and what we put into the world and, what everyone's energy is putting into it and all of that. So the only constant is change, is learning how to live with it and how to adapt and be flexible. So for me, I think one of the first times that it was scary was one of the times as a professional was when I was let go of that, my first, official like job out of college where I was doing great. I was, I had made my way up to leadership positions and I was like managing a great team. I was performing. And then I got let go for a really BS reason. And, but it was at that moment where I was like, I think I'm ready for something. And I feel that the universe was like, if you're not making a decision, homegirl, like we're going to make it for you. And it was kind of like, boom, it just happened. So at that moment of my life, I feel like a lot of change comes in like huge clusters. So at that point, it was like, not only did I just lose my job, but then I had just broken up with my fiance. And at the same time, I got like a health scare. I had my heart issue. So it was just it was just super fast. And I feel that happens for a lot of us because we're so constantly just going, that there's minor little tweaks and changes to our life, but we don't notice it. We just keep going. But there's times when life just kind of has us like recognize, like, go, either you slow down or we're going to slow you down. Meaning we're like God and the universe, like I put them together, right? Because we don't give ourselves that time to process moments of like, maybe I should change a habit, or maybe I should change or switch jobs. Because we're afraid. And for me, it was more of like, well, I'm not scared. I'm willing to do it. Let's move on and let's move forward. But that was like the first time I was hit with so much change that I had a lot of uncertainty in the sense of like, well, how am I going to pay off my mortgage? How am I going to pay my car? Or no, más bien, how am I going to have a car? Because I had a company car. And how am I going to do all these things? And how am I going to be able to afford it? And it was just more of like, take a step back. Let's focus on what we can do. What can we do? And manage my way out of that situation. But at the same time, a few years later, I went through this huge breakup, and there was a change of, how I saw myself. Like the whole, like, my confidence was just shot. I needed work on rebuilding me as a person. And so that's when I did therapy. I started just like taking care of me, focused on my health, focused on all these things. So I think that life just brings our way the change, that if we're not going to take action on it, it finds a way of bringing it to us. And I feel that's why it's so important to also be open and flexible and adaptable. It's good to have a plan. Everyone, we should all have a plan. The road to the end of that plan, of that road or that journey, it's not always a straight line. So we have to be open to the minor changes or the little things that come along the way, so it doesn't completely derail us from a huge, our vision. So I've been hit with a few of those. But to answer your question, yes, I have learned, and I have been a lot more open and accepting of the change that comes with life, the life that gets thrown at us while we have plans, right?
Qué bonito, qué bonito. So yes, it sounds like both of you are super into when life throws you lemons, you make lemonade, you make some cevichito, like you do what you got to do with that lemon. So love it. You'll do your lemon piccata pasta and you'll make it work. I think so too. I think I've always been a fan of change. I like growth, and I'm very ambitious, and I like the next level and getting to this next place in my life. So I think with that, change is good. Like, I'm good to embrace the change that comes with growth. And I like that you both talked about, like, sometimes change is also from a place of you didn't expect something, or life changes in a way that you weren't really ready to embrace, or it can be overwhelming. That's another version of being okay with change, right? We have to be good with both things that are perceived as really good and evolutionary, and things that are perceived as, wow, this is a challenge, this is tough, this is new, and it's going to transform me. But yes, the only thing constant is change. So it's good that all of us have embraced some version of it. The question for this show is going to be, can you think of a significant change in your life that changed who you are as a person? So I know we all kind of rattled off examples. You both were really specific about the last couple of years and how there's been a lot of change, but can you think of a significant thing or two that now in hindsight, because I was thinking a lot about our show, and I love that at our age, we have so much hindsight. We have so many listeners in their 20s and in their 30s, and like, my goodness, like all the life we've lived, and we're so blessed because we're still young. Como dice la comedian Cristela Alonso, like at 43, you're not old, but you're not young. So like, we're at that place right now. So what have been those pivotal times, whether your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, where you're like, that changed me, because I have so many clients right now that are in the middle of, like, they don't realize what's happening. He's over there cracking up. I don't know why, if that's a good or bad thing, but can you think of pivotal things, one or two examples?
I'm laughing because when you said we're not old, but we're not young. So speaking of change, Luis and I both had like that light bulb moment where, like, fuck, we're not young, this past week on Wednesday that he went to see the doctor. And the doctor was younger than us, dude. Like, the younger was visibly younger than us, probably late 20s. Y se veía jovencita, but she was, she knew what she was talking about. And I was just like, wow, she's freaking younger than us. That is crazy. And yeah, so it was like a shocker, like, dang, that we've come to that age where the professionals that are seeing us están más jóvenes que nosotros. But to your question, I think the biggest change, and I'll talk about two changes, but because the second one is ongoing. But the first one was because when I became a mom, and I've said this on the podcast before, is that I never thought or imagined that I would be a mom to take time off. I mean, your normal maternity leave or whatnot, but someone that would want to take time off to be with their kids and take a significant time off work to raise your kids, and stop working. I never thought that. I never imagined that. I always, I'm a lawyer and I need to work all these hours and be here at this law firm. I always thought that. I always felt that. I think because that's what I knew. That's what I had seen on TV that lawyers do and whatnot. And so when I had kids, I was just like not loving my job anymore and not loving the long hours, and that I needed something. I didn't know what it was. And it was like for me to take time and raise my kids. So that was like a pivotal moment that I was, that my body changed, my hormones changed. Like, I was a mom now, and I was missing out on their upbringing. And I hated that. I remember también, like, era yo cabroncita con our nanny, like, pero era por eso. And I look back, I'm like, I'm so nice to her now. You know, it was just like, it was a lot. It was a lot. So anyway, she's still in our lives, thank God. So I wasn't that mean. And then the other...
I like that though. I like that you mentioned that. Like, that's true. Like, we as people change. Like, sometimes we're warmer. Sometimes we're not as warm. Sometimes we're stressed. So we take out things on people. Sometimes we're not stressed. We're not worried. Like, you know, hopefully your maid sees you in this light and understands like you're ever evolving human. Like, when you are not present with your kids, you may be more stressful, and it translates into being cabroncita. That's not who you are forever. That's not who you always are. It's that stage of your life. Now you're like super chill, right? You get this flexible situation. The kids are older. She comes by and it's like, she's like, ay, me cae muy bien la señora Rodriguez, right? La señorita Rodriguez. But it's like, that's change. That's life. Like, you are going to be a different person. You're allowed to show up differently at different stages of your life. And thank God she's still in your life to see you in this version of yourself.
I know. I was like, I know, I look back now, I'm like, no, I was very short with her, pero pues era, I me imagino que se imagina que era por eso. I've never actually talked to her about it, but me imagino que era por eso, porque ahora, siéntese, doña Mari, tómase un café, you know, y se pone a platicar and whatnot, and she's been a love, y está disponible, you know, nos cuida now el perro, and she's so sweet. The other day, she's like, a ver, ¿cuándo vamos a Hayward? Porque le quiere llevar flores al panteón a mi mamá. So that, you know, segues into the second change that I'm going through right now. And I might cry, like, not having a mom, like, that is, it's so crazy. Like, it's so crazy because, you know, I've always only known life with my mom, and like not being able to like just pick up the phone and call her for like, I don't know, anything, you know, any dumb things. And it's so crazy. And it's like, I don't know. It's like my sister and I talk about it, like, you know, yeah, like our cousins feel it too, pero es diferente, you know, es diferente. Because even though like we're at peace with it, it's just like, ay, se siente like un vacío, like just, I don't know how to explain it, like a hole in my heart of not having. And I think about it every single day. Like, I think about her. I wake up and I go in my, you know, my little walk-in closet. I tengo una foto de ella, and I just go like, buenos días, mom, but like, que no me pueda responder, que no, you know, like, that's like a huge change. And I'm, you know, just learning to live with that. Right now, I still feel like she's like on a long trip. Like she's away, and that's what I feel. I know the reality, you know, and in two occasions, like 2 months ago, I had like the urge to call her, and like no podía, and like I called my dad instead. But yeah, I'm still going through it. I mean, I don't know. I've tried to talk to people that have gone through like losing your mom. I've connected con Monica a lot recently. Like, we've been texting each other. So yeah, it's a big change. It's a big change. Like, it's so, I no sé cómo describirlo. It's just that change that I'm still going through. And it's going to be 3 months this month.
Thank you for sharing that, for being so vulnerable with us and so honest. And wow, grief. It's like going to be a never ending, painful, beautiful, it is what it is kind of thing. So thank you for sharing that with us.
I know. I heard that the first year is the hardest, y que ya un poquito mejorcito, pero que siempre va a haber instantes de que te acuerdas de tu mamá, y yo ahorita todos los días. So anyway, thank you for listening.
Of course, 1,000%. If that doesn't change you, I don't know what will. That must absolutely change you, especially if you had like the kind of relationship that you had with your mom. I know some people may have complicated relationships with their parents, but for the most part, you know, I can only imagine like the hole in the heart that is there after a relationship like the one you had with your mom. Y tú, Vero? Yeah, now that they've made us cry, and I know you love to cry, so we got our moment.
Let it out, Vero.
Let it out.
I'm just sending a big old heart, Ceci. A big old abrazo to you, Ceci, because
I'll take your heart too.
Take it. It's all yours. I love you. I don't know. I've always, like I said, I've always been so open to change and open to like these new experiences. And I think that sometimes that makes me a little crazy. But I think one of the biggest things for me was like in coming into adulthood when we were in college, right? And started at Hermanas Unidas on campus, and then building relationships with all these women. I was always such a guy's girl, you know, like I was always with the homies, the boys, the guys. I was very tomboyish. I mean, I would always wear a sweater, my hoodie, and like pants, right? Like I was never really girly. But, and I just like, and I think that came from like not having that relationship with my sister and my mom. Like they were always very close, and I didn't have that. So I was always like, well, I was close to my dad and my brother. So I was fine as long as I had someone, right? So I think it just allowed me to be more comfortable with the guys. And being part of Hermanas really opened me up to having these friendships and with women, with these other girls that were going through the same things I was going through. And part of it opened it up to like, you know what? We're not that bad. Why do I want to be a boy so bad? You know? Like, ¿por qué? Just accept who you are. And it was like, you know, it was a moment of like just accepting, like, I am a chick, and and women like together, you know, we're so amazing. And I think that's when I realized that. And I've always wanted to have amazing women in my corner, because then I realized that my mom and my sister were pretty damn amazing too. And I feel that me going away to college and realizing that some of our friends had really good relationship with their sisters and their moms, I was like, I want that, you know? But it really took me being pulled away from that. So along with building my relationships and friendships with the young women around me and being supportive and just like, you know, I'm like, you know, I think I could do this at home. I could do this with my mom and my sister. And to this day, things are better. We have, you know, everyone's different. Cada mundo es diferente. Cada cabeza es un mundo. So we each think very differently or do things differently. But I'm very grateful that I have great friends, great women in my life that, you know, have allowed me to grow, have, you know, talked to me when they're like, hey, something's off, have been able to like help me grow and challenge me, but at the same time, give me that love. Like, you know what, this is great. You've done well. Along with being able to do that with my mom and my sister. I feel that was a changing moment of me becoming a young adult coming into adulthood. The next time was, I feel that when I broke off my engagement with my ex-fiance, right? I've always been the one that says, go for it. Don't sit on life. Just let things happen. Don't like, why are you going to do that? And then when it came to me, I was like so scared to do it. I was so afraid to do it, but I knew it was the right thing. And I couldn't sit there. Like I was, you know, I would sit there and imagine my life. You know, I'm like, what about 1 year, 5 years down the road? What if there's kids involved in this marriage now? And I'm still feeling the way I feel now. So I felt that I wasn't being fair to who I was as a person in not taking action. And then I wasn't being fair at all to future Vero, because I was consciously going to put her through something that she did not want to be in. You know what I mean? So calling off that engagement meant a lot of things. It meant my parents being a little like, what the hell, right? It meant me breaking someone's heart. It meant change of plans. There goes money, there goes this. But at the end of the day, for me, it really meant like being true to me. And not just in words, not just in whatever, like, this is who I am, me vale. It was more of like, this is who I am. And I need to be who I am in order to live a full life. You know what I mean? So doing that it like really propelled me forward into being open to how like sometimes like it's there, it's so obvious the things that we need to do, but we're just so afraid to move forward on them or take action because of everything that comes along with it, whether it means like possibly hurting someone, even though you knowing you don't want to hurt them, but it's just part of this process. People looking at you like, what do you mean you're not going to go through with what you said? Like it's like, in a sense, not keeping your word, right? But it was like enough of me like saying I was always so about like, live a life that's so real to you, that is real to you. Like, don't commit to things that you just cannot, that are not for you. So a lot of it was like, all right, got to be real. Like, this is the game. This is the talk you've been talking. This is the game you've been playing. So you need to really be out there and choose it. And it was the best thing ever, because it really allowed for everything else that happened in my life to do things knowing that it's not fucking easy. It's not easy if we just fall into line, fall into what's expected, fall into what the plan of other people is for you in your life, other people's plans of your life are, and not taking action in your own. It's like, man. So for me, that was pivotal, like in doing that, because it really kind of changed my family life, like my relationships, like intimate relationships. It changed my dynamics at like my work. It just really amplified my voice of who I was as a person. But that change was like, okay, Vero, this is really who you are. Dang. All right. That's it. No BS. So that was the second. There's so many more, but I think those were two of the most pivotal like moments of change that really has helped me be who I am today.
Qué bonito, Vero. It's like a moment of your courage and your bravery and doing something that probably felt really scary, like you said, to do, and doing it anyway because future Vero would be grateful. That's so beautiful. Like always keep in mind future self. And we have a question. The last question is going to be about future self and future change. But to answer the question of a pivotal time that I think that I changed, I think in my marriage, a really pivotal change was and I think I've said this a little bit in the podcast before, but like my husband, I've always seen him as so wise and so knowledgeable and so smart. He's incredibly smart and well-read and just knows a lot about a lot of different things. But I do remember there being a time in my relationship with my husband that I felt that financially I couldn't defer to him and I would need to change. Like I would need to take on the finances and take the reins and be an example and also not even be an example like, oh, if I do it, he'll do it. Like we talked about that on the podcast before. Like you can't really make someone do something that they don't want to do. So I remember financially, I felt like he was not making really good decisions for the family, but I would defer to him. And I felt if I don't pull that back a little bit and take control of my own finances, at least, like my husband will love us and he'll have all the good intentions. And he's like so great in so many ways that he will love us and take care of us and be great. But financially, we won't be great. Like financially, we won't be okay. And it was so hard to come to terms with that because I felt like him taking care of us financially and being responsible with money was so symbolic of like loving your family. And it wasn't that he didn't love his family. It's okay to have this thing about you that is you. And if it blows back on the family in a way that can lead to struggle or stress or hardship, like it doesn't mean that you love us any less. And I would feel a lot of like, if only he could be better with money. I could trust him with money. We can move on with our goals around money. But I knew like that wasn't what I was dealing with. So I had to like pull myself up from my little bootstraps, as they say, and start making my own money moves and my own decisions around money. And separating my money from my husband ended up being one of like the biggest, most transformative things in my life. And like no judgment, like no, you should, if you did, if you like, it was like trying to be very unemotional, unattached, trying to be responsible, right, for me. Because how easy to just be like, oh, you're being irresponsible and blame someone for being irresponsible. Like that's bullshit. Like I am responsible for my life. Like Vero said earlier, like future Vero would be proud. Like I knew my future goals revolved around getting it together financially and I had to start performing. So it was scary at the time. And I figured it out and a little bit became more and more and more. And as I became more involved in my own financial success, my husband had no choice, and not because I forced him, but like to match his wife, he got better on his own terms. Like he took care of his own money situation because he wanted to, not because he was forced to, not because I guilted him to, like, because when you see someone being responsible, that's fine and dandy, but maybe part of that was also a good example, right? And he did follow that example, but nothing would have guaranteed that he would have. So to this day, I still have my money separated from my husband's money and we share expenses, but I don't commingle money with my husband. I have my own savings account. He has his own savings account. So everything is very good about joint bills and taking care of bills as a team, which I love. But if I'm balling out of control, it's great because I took that back. I took back those reins of balling out of control. And if he's not, then that's your thing. This is my thing. That's your thing. And I love it because I do think that it's allowed us to not hold each other back. Because the last thing my husband wants to do is feel like, oh, I'm holding her back because I can't match what she has to do this thing, for instance, or I can't go on this trip with her because I don't have my part, right? And so he has been so good about like being my peer, like being my equal. But it took a lot of me just being solo for a long time and taking care of my money solo for a long time. What I love about my husband and I is we're both very generous. So the cool thing about separate but equal is that I got you. Like if I got you, like I have it too, and he's the same way. He's always been, I got you, babe. What do you need? How much do you need? What do you need? So when he's good with money, it's like, shit, I'm living large. Like I have it good. But if he's not, and he's tight, and he's struggling. It's like, I'm praying for you, baby. but it doesn't hold me back, right? But it was a big, pivotal, huge change. And I want to be super vulnerable and honest. I'd rather it not be that way. Like, I'd rather have my husband and I commingle our money and like trust each other and blindly spend. But we're not there yet, and we'll get there. And we have every reason to be there. But I'm like, oh, we're not really there yet. Like, I'm still, because it's been so good for me, and I've taken off so much in being my own accountant, my own money manager, my own everything with my money. Again, we do a lot of things jointly, but it's not shared, though he shares a lot with me. It's so funny. Like, he's very generous and very giving, but yeah, I go out and I do these things, and then it's like, wow, you did that. Yeah, great. Like, you could do too, or we'll both do it eventually. But anyway, it's down the road. I think that we'll both share, because I think that's good, or maybe it's not. I don't know. Like, it'd be cool. I think one day again, how we started, like almost like a full circle moment, like how we started together and blindly putting all of our money together. I do like that we've maximized like a lot of our investments, because they're duplicate investments, which is kind of cool, and duplicate savings. And now they're like more spread across, and there's more access to things because there's not just the one. So that's kind of cool. But that's one key change that I think changed me as a person and my whole trajectory in my life. Another thing was immediately coming back from our trip, I think. When we came back from a year-long trip that we both planned together, and we both saved for together, and we both equally shared the responsibility of spending that money together. Like, I felt I came back really strong from that trip in order to start over again, because going on a trip for a whole year and traveling through Latin America was obviously a huge investment. And you come back to uncertainty because, you know, my husband wasn't working that entire year. You come back and like, oh, we got to just pick up where we left off. Like, that is easier said than done. And from the outside looking in, maybe it felt seamless, but it wasn't seamless. Like, I was back to being like super responsible, super diligent, super on top of like the transition back, the change to like being a responsible couple, still being responsible, but traveling and spending a lot, coming back and being just as responsible, because we have these 3 lives that count on us. So that was another big change in my life, like feeling like the transition from this trip, which was such a fun, magical, exciting time, but there still was a lot of pressure when we came back, and I welcomed it again. Like, I took that on again for our family, feeling like I love Diego, but I don't want to put that burden on Diego. Like, I felt like I couldn't trust to put that burden on him. So again, I was like, okay, I'm on it. I'm going to be on it. I'm going to be really responsible and really take it on. And then I felt why that changed me is because then I felt I could do anything. I felt like after that, I was like, I can really do any big major goal. I can achieve it, whatever it is. It won't be easy getting there. Maybe it will be hard in the middle while I'm working on it, but I can do anything. That really taught me that I can do anything, because we lived this amazing goal together and achieved it together, and then got back and then pulled ourselves up from starting again. So those are the 2 pivotal changes. So like we all said, there's all these different lives lived. So there's a little bit of grief. There's a little bit of change when you're young and making sure you're true to yourself. There's a little bit of starting over. And that's going to happen in your life. You're going to continue to start over and risk it all and make big changes. So those were our examples. Each of us shared 2. And in the last question, we can each share 1. But what is one change you're looking forward to in the future? So future you, what is one thing you're looking forward to?
Retirement.
I love that one.
Well, retirement, because this is what I envision for myself, that to retire before your typical age, para tener más energía y más años para hacer lo que queramos, you know, like just pick up and go, and like, queremos ir a viajar, cool, let's go. Queremos ir a tal parte, okay, vámonos. And then this is part of one of my financial goals is to have like a home in Mexico, and, you know, go, like, you know, we've talked about it. I want that, and I want to work towards that. And, you know, like, anyway, that's what I envision. Just like pick up and go and be una señora elegante and have like our reunions, nosotras todavía ya setentonas y todavía buenonas y bailando, like those videos that we've been sending. Like, yeah, I want that. Like, that's what I look forward to, like getting old together with my friends that I've known since you know, early adulthood.
Qué bonito, getting old together, qué bonito. I love both those dreams. Ya se hizo on the vision board. I love them both. I love that you said elegante. You know, like elegante. I could picture like drop dead gorgeous Ceci with beautiful white hair, but looking dope, big old earrings, beautiful outfit. Yeah, I see it, Ceci. ¿Y tú, Vero? What is a change you look forward to or two?
A change or two? No, just one change. That one's hard. That one's hard because, like I said, the season I'm in right now, there's so many hopefuls. There's so many like, oh, this. And there's, my little ones that kind of need a lot of me. But I think it's like, it would be having little independent children, like, all of them kind of like fend for themselves, and being able to just like do a lot more of, so this is more recent, like more of like near future than like, future. So future me, this recent future where I'm going to be realistic, is just having that time for me to like expand on myself, right? Expand on, the things I've put off in my years. It's not a sacrifice. It's like, it's just my job. Like my job right now, my professional career is raising for humans and doing what I do. But it's just having more time to like really allow myself to grow and challenge myself and like do the things that I have on purpose put aside to enjoy this time with them. So it was always one of my things that I wanted to do, and I don't regret it, right? I always said I want to be able to be home with my children, and thank God that I have been able to. We talked about finances, we talked about having this. All of that plays a role into it, right? And I feel that if we don't have those moments in our earlier youth where we don't experience certain things, it doesn't allow us to become our future selves. So for me, it was just like, I wanted this, and there have been moments, because I'm living through it. There have been moments that have been so hard that I was like, I'd rather just fucking go to work. Let me go clock in 9 to 5 and leave my kids somewhere and worry about them after, right? But there's just like, no, acuérdate, like this is what you wanted. And then finding like just like re-loving and re-falling in love with that. And I'm so lucky. And I don't feel like I'm missing out. I will eventually be where I'm supposed to be, when it comes to that part of me. So I'm just looking forward to a little more growth time, a little more me time. And that's my recent future. And I think it's very realistic. Future me wants a rancho, I want a rancho. And I think maybe we'll buy one next to each other, Ceci, who knows? But I would love to be able to have like that, ranchito with my gallinitas and mis animalitos and my own, all that stuff. So we'll get there.
Get a milk chicken.
A milk chicken?
The milk chicken. Did you see the video she sent about the milk chicken? So weird. I wonder if that was a gag or not.
I know. Por eso no te reíste. You'll have to check it out.
Last couple of episodes, same thing. We send each other stuff offline. It's so funny. The inside jokes. I love that answer, Vero. Like the me time is critically important. And also I love, Vero, that like you're in this stage of your life. It's the most beautiful stage, the stage where you have these little ones and they're just so gorgeous. So guzzle it all up. Enjoy it. I'm really happy for you that you get to be home with them. It's huge, huge. What a privilege and what an honor. Qué bonito. A change that I look forward to, and it's bittersweet, but I know that I am going to be so sad when my son goes to college. And I think a lot about him going to college and it just being 4 of us and not 5 of us. And I'm so present in the moments right now with 5 of us. But then I often think about how life happens so fast. And like I'm sending one right now, but then 4 years later, another one is off to college. And then 2 years after that, another one. So in 6 years to send 3 kids to college, I think is going to be beautiful. But also, if that's the route that they go on, if they all move out and go to college, it's also going to be like really sad. But I look forward to that joy of just Diego and I again, and the traveling and the fun and the just us. But I know it's going to be an empty nester is going to be the weirdest thing. If they all were to move on and to leave home, that would just be so strange, right? After having children in your home for, 24 years, 26 years, however that adds up to, with all of them back to back to back to back. And then also watching all of you still have little ones and then be in a middle school and high school. And here I am, like la cincuentona that doesn't have kids at home and is just like, oh, just me and Diego again. We had a nice little TV dinner. It seems like it's going to be so different, but so beautiful. I think that time, just he and I can't even imagine, but I somewhat look forward to it. It began, it was crazy. It was 2 decades and some change. And then they all go off and they grow up and they leave home. So it'll be fun. I'll have that ranch too in Mexico. We'll have a Level Up Latina finca with our chickens that produce milk.
There you go.
And that'll be our lives, right? Living there. But I do look forward to that, to the kids. And I love right now the age that they are. I love the age that they are, the middle school and the high school, how fun it is. So I'm looking forward to all the years to come with them being teenagers and pre-teenagers. It has been really, really fun. So this is our episode on change. We're going to wrap this baby up. Thank you for reflecting with us today about changes that have been pivotal at any one point in our life, one or two, changes for the future, one or two, or just if we like change or not and how we've adapted as it's happened. So those of you listening, if you're in a season of change, we want to send you lots of love and patience and wisdom. And if you're looking forward to a change desperately, hopefully there's something that inspired you hearing about breakups and finances and grief. Like, the biggest tip of the day is appreciate those while you have them here. Ceci shared very openly about the season that she's in and the change that she's experiencing. So when you're listening to this, hopefully you feel inspired to appreciate and hold closer those that you love that are still on the earthly side here with us. So if you want to continue this conversation, you can email us. Our email is admin@leveluplatina.com. You can also shoot us a DM or a message on Facebook. Our handle is @leveluplatina. Come to leveluplatina.com to learn about coaching services, but also about Guilt Free Squad. We're having an incredible sale for our anniversary. Believe it or not, we've been doing this for almost 5 years. May 1st will be our 5th anniversary as a Level Up Latina podcast, and 242 episodes down. And we hope that you will come check out everything we have to offer at leveluplatina.com and join the Guilt Free Squad. It is an incredible group coaching community, a private exclusive chat that goes down every day or whatever you see fit to chime in. Monthly sessions, discounted events, private events for Guilt Free Squad members. And it's a beautiful, beautiful community, and we are so proud of it. So we hope you'll join the Guilt Free Squad if that's the change that you have been looking for, my friend. And until then, that wraps up another episode. Las queremos mucho. Las quiero mucho. And don't forget to level up.
Besos, besos.